Hey everybody, Mark here for the Highways and Hedges Monday School. Thank you so much for coming on back in the third of a fill-in type series while I am traveling on my devotions from Second Chronicles, the classroom scene or the classroom setting. Lessons on the Call to Action series. We'll be picking back up again on December 8th. So super excited to get back in the classroom, get back to teaching, and just excited to get that series picked back up again. I pray you all had a wonderful Thanksgiving, and thank you all so much for checking out the channel. Look over at Second Chronicles chapter 25, verses 6 through 10. And this is going to be our devotion for today out of Second Chronicles. Excellent passage. And of course, we're going to be looking at Amaziah. And I want you to see verses 6 through 10. And let's learn a little bit from this wonderful passage. It says, "He hired also 100,000 mighty men of valor out of Israel for 100 talents of silver." Now he was getting ready to go to war. He said, okay, I need more men. I'm going to go to Israel. I'm going to hire out 100,000 men. And so bring them all in. And now we have this mighty army. And it says here in verse 7, "But there came a man of God to him, saying, O king, let not the army of Israel go with thee, for the Lord is not with Israel, to wit, with all the children of Ephraim." The problem was he went to the outside people. He was not a separated people at this time. God is here. God is here in this passage is defending Judah, and Amaziah went outside to Israel to bring in folks. And of course, God was not with Israel at that time. If you can read about it all through 1st, 2nd Kings, 1st, 2nd Chronicles, the history of the kings of Israel, not a good track record in serving God. So let's pick it up here. Verse 8, "But if thou wilt go," meaning go to battle, "do it, be strong for the battle. God shall make thee fall before the enemy, for God hath power to help and to cast down." And Amaziah said to the man of God, "But what shall we do for the 100 talents which I have given to the army of Israel?" And the man of God answered, "The Lord is able to give thee much more than this." Here we see kind of an internal struggle with Amaziah. Is he saying, well, I want to win the battle and I want to follow what God said, but I already lost all this money. I already paid all this money to Israel to come on in here and help us. And now, they're not going to give me a refund. So now I'm going to be out all this money. And the prophet gives him excellent wisdom here in saying at the end of verse 9, "The Lord is able to give thee much more than this." In other words, it's so much more valuable to serve God and do what he tells you to do than to make a mistake and then double down on that mistake and say, well, I'm already out this money. We're going to go for it. Because here we see it could have cost hundreds of thousands of men their lives if he would have gone through with his plan. Look at verse 10. "Then Amaziah separated them, to wit, the army that was come to him out of Ephraim, to go home again." So he tells Israel, you're not needed. I'm going to follow what God says. You go home. "Wherefore their anger was greatly kindled against Judah, and they returned home in great anger." Now we see later on in chapter 25 that the children of Israel that he hired were not really happy. They actually went and they attacked the cities of Judah, and eventually Amaziah had to go and fight the men that he had hired. But the key lesson here is he had done wrong. He was corrected. And instead of doubling down on that mistake, he turned to God. He said, man, you know what? That's my fault. God, I'm going to trust you to give me the victory. And he followed through on what the man of God said. And you know what? God gave him victory against those men that he hired as well. Because God is faithful. Make sure if you're doing something, if you make a mistake, you know what, we're flesh, we're going to make a ton of mistakes. cannot happen is you cannot double down on that mistake and say, okay, well, I made this mistake. Now I'm going to do this, which is also against the will of God. And I'm just going to follow through and hope that that works. And then when that doesn't work, you're going to triple down on that and say, okay, well, now I'm going to do this because now I'm already out all this other money. It's easier just to walk with God, trust him, and say, stupid tax is attached to everything. It happens to all of us. Trust God, walk with him. See how he provides for you. Why? Because the Lord is able to give thee much more than this. Hope you all had a great Thanksgiving. Welcome to the official holiday season. Come on back next week when we have an in-class session on the Call to Action series. Thank you so much. Make sure you like, make sure you subscribe, and more than anything, pray for the channel. Thank you so much. Be blessed till we talk again.